dun 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 dun.
Welcome to TGI today. We've got a fantastic question coming up, but before we get to that, I wanted to probe and ask a very dodgy question. What is the most random job you've ever done?
As employed job or just task you've taken on?
Take it in any way you wish.
Doesn't make it any easier.
I collected eggs in a battery farm, which is so random because I was practically vegan at the time, but I didn't get pocket money, and so it was either get a job at 14 and find a way of earning money, but it was hideous. And I did find myself sneakily feeding the chickens and getting into quite a bit of trouble. So it's not a job I'm proud of, but it is pretty random for a vegetarian, militant 14-year-old girl.
Certainly is.
I worked in a chicken factory.
Oh, yes.
When I was finished my A-levels for 6 weeks.
Those are horrid.
In Telford.
Yeah, there's one of them in Amsterdam.
Down in Sussex. It's a housing estate now. But it was very funny. We had polystyrene trays going through with fresh chicken for one of the supermarkets and green trays for a rather posh one in the middle of London. The price labels were rather different, and the content was exactly the same.
Obviously.
Exactly.
I used to sell. I used to have a phone job when I was a student to get extra money to go and see my girlfriend, and I ended up selling garden sheds. And because the way the marketing worked, they did offer dresses, and I ended up phoning up people in tower blocks in Birmingham, asking them if they wanted to buy a garden shed. The worst thing was,
For them allotments. For them allotments.
probably a flat one, right? But you had to work the whole way through the whole tower block until you got to the top. And because you couldn't phone, you had to press the button and it auto-dialed.
Oh my goodness.
So you're at the beginning of your shift and you just went, no, I live in a tower block. All right, fine, right. Oh, I live in a tower block. All right, fine, yeah. Oh, I live in a tower block. All right, fine, yeah. You went through all like that. It was horrendous.
That does not sound like fun.
It got me my train fare, so it was all right, yeah.
So they were flat pack, were they?
Oh no, for goodness sake.
Save us. Sorry.
Back in '94, I was out in Russia on a working holiday, and we went to this campsite where there were just 20,000 people, and we discovered at the end our job was to burn the toilets, which were just pits in the ground with shovels and bottles of vodka and matches, and we achieved it, but it was...
You sure it was 94, not
burning
34?
poo.
Sounds a bit Stalin-esque.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
So far you get the prize, I think. Burning
It
poo in Russia.
didn't feel like a prize at the time. I can see.
Is that why you're into barbecues then? With all the fire pits and
Yeah.
Maybe not.
Well,
Save us, Paul.
I was half of a pantomime horse.
Oh no.
But I was the good half.
Oh, you were the
half.
front?
Yeah.
Oh,
Which is such fun. Because you make, horsey noises.
Yeah.
And,
care to share?
and because you're controlling the head with your hands, you're shaking hands with people by lifting your leg, and they kind of grab you under the knee and shake your front leg.
sounds a bit rude, that does, really. It sounds a bit rude.
But it was great fun being at the front. Being at the back, probably not so much so.
No. Oh dear.
My,
Going to fall through.
let's hope not.
You better carry on with the question before we kick off.
My favourite, I've done a few random jobs, but my favourite was making Zimmer frames the one summer. And we were on a production line, and I did want to organise everybody into a race at the end, but it didn't quite happen. But,
Can't do that now.
But a summer making Zimmer frames was actually more fun than you'd expect.
Yeah.
See, if you didn't concentrate on your job, there'd be some little old deer on a Zimmer frame, and it would, like, the bolt would fall out. And
True,
off you'd go.
it's dangerous.
It's like being an aircraft engineer or something.
A responsible job. Talking about responsible jobs, I think, we have a bit of a responsibility here, don't we? But also quite a random one. So it may be that question was set up slightly in order to say big thank you. Our wonderful Dan has been with us from the start, far before I arrived, just being amazing. And so we've brought him a few little
thank
gifts.
you.
But actually, we'd quite like you to open.
Yes, quickly, come on then.
This is obviously this has got going wrong written all over it. Okay, what face am I supposed to pull when I open it?
Practice your.
Yeah.
Oh, just what I always wanted, face. Okay, so come here, a nice good close up on the face there, Simon. Just to
I know
check.
what this is. I know what this is.
Oh yeah.
This is. Is it got Martin Luther on it?
Oh, Lego Luther.
Sorry, Simon.
That's all right. I'll get
Beautiful.
a focus
Let's
one
pop
day.
in there.
You can have St Nicholas as well, can't you? It's quality.
Dear Dan, thanks for the idea and passion of getting TGI Monday on the screen. None of us foresaw how God would use it to reach people with the gospel. You will be missed. God bless you in your next steps as a fellow pilgrim on the way. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Managed to get the words out. Thank you.
There we go.
You haven't seen
Oh,
the other side.
Brilliant. Nailing our faces to the Wittenberg door.
You got 2 former Roman Catholics on there as well. Yeah, so
There's a card in there. We were going to nail it to the door.
Yeah.
Oh, I won't. I
We
won't.
thought we might get into trouble.
Beautiful.
I'll hang that in my office, guys. If there's a card, I won't lose it. Thank you.
You're going to be missed, Dan. It feels a bit like the end of an era. You kind of kicked this all off, really, in Simon's your kitchen.
In my kitchen.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah.
But you know,
So
you've got
you
new
to
members of
blame.
the team, and you're doing everything's going to go in new directions. It's very exciting what you guys are doing. So
Promise
I'm-
to keep in touch.
and I'm going to keep watching. Well, definitely, and I'm going to keep watching. So.
Remember to like, share,
Like tweet
And I will
share.
definitely always, yes,
send in your questions.
and tweet.
Oh, yeah.
and comment. I'm going to comment.
Oh, no, no, no.
You're going to send in some nasty
Yeah, I
questions.
will. I will.
The ones who's been dying. The bullets we've been dodging all the way through. Here they
You're all
come.
rubbish.
Here they
You
come.
didn't really answer that
Are you
question.
for lapsarian or superlapsarian? It's a really important pastoral question for me. We do get those occasionally, don't we?
Yes. Oh, and other words we don't understand.
But we've got some fabulous words we do understand from wonderful Ivy on YouTube, thank you very much, asking, can our parish vicars and their family be friends? Or is it strictly business? And if and when they move parish, is that it? It's quite a challenging question today. For me personally, as I've just transitioned between curacy and my first sort of incumbent post, getting time to see people that I might want to see from my previous parish is quite challenging. But anybody want to jump in and say what they think?
It's a good question and a tricky subject. I think before the camera started rolling, we used the word tightrope. But I was reminded the age-old question: what would Jesus do? And one of his farewell discourses is, no longer do I call you servants, I call you friends. So he was on the friendship thing too.
If we are just strictly business with people, there's an element of, you make yourself vulnerable to me and I don't in any way. And actually that makes us much worse, clergy, I think. That's not to say that we just dive in the hole with someone who might be in a hole and, I know it is all terrible, if there's a difficult situation. But I think there is something that's important about us being real, whilst also seeking to discern. Because people see you in a role, you are in a role, and that's important.
I remember when I was boozing with Paul, which is always a mistake to go out boozing with my church warden.
Yeah.
Right? It is always a mistake. And after the end of the night, he said to me, he said, look, next time you come out, I want you to come out as Howell, not as the vicar. And I think he was right there, because it's how we act, and we have to make that decision to say, okay, in a funny way, it's like Superman in a funny way. You take off your kit and you become a different sort of thing, like you. And I think you relate to people in a way. That's right, yeah. And I think, but the trouble is with that though, is that once you've crossed the line and you become somebody's friend, right, you then lose your objectivity and professionalism. And the problem then becomes, is one of the worst things that vicars can fall into, is you end up having a group of cliquey mates around you, and you run the parish with the vicar's little gang,
Yeah.
And that's a real problem. And as well, if we have to remain objective in our leadership, we have to then put aside that friendship for however long in order to deal with different situations objectively. And I think our friends need to understand that as well. So they can't say, you're my mate, you will do this.
Yeah.
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 There's a similarity as well with what all of us encounter in the world of work. Is where do you know, do I put my boss on Facebook? You know, those kind of things. Can you go for a drink at lunchtime with your colleagues? Can you meet them socially in the evening? How far does that go? And it's, you know, it's something that everyone is. But as you say, there's a level of pastoral responsibility that you have as clergy that you've got to keep a certain distance, and when you move on, I think some of that goes with you. You avoid the pastoral issues of the parish, and you're then a bit freer too.
The thing is, friendship isn't any one thing. I mean, in all of our lives, we have different kinds of friendships depending on who we're relating to. And I see it as very much a friendship with many people in my congregation. But it's a different kind of friendship. It's not a friendship that I might have with my best mates or with my work colleagues, or with someone on someone who's friended me on Facebook. And so that's how I see it, a different kind of friendship that has different dynamics involved.
And I totally agree, and actually I think we need to be working that stuff out fairly early on. I brought with me a picture. I went to a wedding with some mates I went to university with. This is somebody who I met and became friends with whilst Doug was at Vicar School. And actually, they have very different kinds of friendships. So these guys, I can go and we shared a particular experience together and can totally go and let her hair down. And if I became one of their vicars, that would definitely be harder and weird. I suppose it'd be a bit like being, if you're a school teacher and you become your own child's teacher, or you're going to be seen differently. So having friends that you can just vent your day on the phone to, and friends that you can get excited about a new community project with, like parishioners, we kind of need all of it, really.
Yeah, it's not fair to vent your day down the phone to one of your parishioners when it's about another parishioner that you're venting about.
Well, it's utterly inappropriate.
That would be a wrong kind of friendship.
I think there's different lines in it, and I think the final thing with it as well is we do become, because it's a long-term relationship, we do become attached to our parishioners, which we should, and we become emotionally involved in them, which is good. But also as well, it's got to be a controlled involvement. So in order for me to be a good vicar, I have to be emotionally involved in the things that I'm doing, while at the same time control that involvement. So I might want to cry at one of my parishioners' funerals, right? But I might be really upset about it. But I have to control that in order to do it for the rest of the people who are there.
And I think also, leading on from that, we need to make sure that our parishioners are aware that actually we are not being callous sometimes, or we are not, we don't like them any less, but we have to live within a certain framework, and we need to express that. But I think there's so much here. We could be talking about this for days, but I'm afraid that is all we've got time for. So thank you so much for today.
So thanks for watching. It's been a fantastic 2 years, and I'm going to miss my time here, but I'm still going to be watching to see how many of you are tweeting and sharing. Now I'm gone, let me invite you to troll the team as hard as you possibly can. Send them the toughest questions you've got, and if you want to make any nasty comments, don't tell them I told you to do it.
So Dan, we can be your friends now.
That's right, yeah. Start that again. I was running out of breath.
Well done,
Thank you,
Dan.
guys.
Excellent. Miss you.